Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé his bestie can't come to the wedding? Posted by quirky_chemistry 2511. If you like these stories and want to see more, please like and subscribe. I, 28F, have been with my fiancé Adam since my teen years. When we began dating, I met his best friend Nicole, 28F. Since I met her, nothing but red flags. The whole time, she flirted with Adam, ignored me. To be honest, I was mad with Adam that night, too, because he never took any action to introduce me. I have bad social anxiety and autism and need help in new things. Adam knew this since day one. It got even worse when it became evident that Nicole was a huge racist. I am white, so is Adam, but my best friend is black, so this was not okay. After that night, Adam talked about having a get-together with everyone, me, Nicole, and my friend. I broke down and told Adam how I felt and why I was upset. He didn't say anything. He was very apologetic, and I have not had direct contact with Nicole since then, but she still talks with Adam. Now, Adam and I are getting married next fall. Last week he explained that Nicole reached out to him about the wedding since he announced the marriage on FB. She asked if he had sent invites yet, and Adam told her the truth and that she hadn't gotten one because I was not okay with her coming. She got agitated and used almost any insult she could think about me over text and said I had no reason to dislike her. I talked to my maid of honor, Cam, 27F. Cam told me that the reason I disliked her was valid. She told me to reach out to Nicole myself to set the record straight. Cam is the friend I mentioned before, so I messaged her and told her the truth. That when we were still teens, she disrespected my relationship by openly flirting with him in front of me many times and by refusing to accept that I existed for months. And to top it all off, I said that my maid of honor and I were simply not okay with her racism. I told her that until she apologizes for her actions, recent or not, she will not be getting any wedding invites in the mail. She left me on scene. The next day Adam was pissed with me, and when asked why, he said that Nicole was in his DMs telling him how I'm a hateful bitch and that I'm just jealous I've known Adam for less time than her. She sent him forged SS of me saying some nasty things that were never actually said. During my convo with her, I was civil, though my petty spirit wanted to say other things. After I calmed Adam down and showed him the real convo, he moved his anger to Nicole but still told me I should consider her for the wedding because she's his friend, and he would feel weird without her. I'm not gonna lie, and I did laugh. Because I was in shock that despite her clear as day hatred of both my maid of honor and me, he still is defending her. I told him after her behavior, she has no intentions of changing and at this point, she's not getting invited whether she apologizes or not, and I'm sorry, but his friend can't come. He's been giving me the silent TR and only talking when needed since. Am I the a-hole? And now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but all around here. If he's aware of her crappy actions and he still wants her there, that's just Seuss. Long friendship or not, there's something not right with this situation. I wouldn't be marrying a man that puts his flirty friend's needs over yours. Not the a-hole. Ditch the man, honey. This MF is besties with an open racist that is obviously aggressive towards you. She started crap, but he still spoke for her. Nah, man, he is definitely a racist or at least someone that doesn't see anything wrong with racism. He will probably expect you to do the comprising after literally throwing that garbage fire your way despite it being his responsibility to deal with his problematic friend. Ditch while you can, bruh. Not the a-hole, but why are you even considering marrying this guy? Clearly, he has no issue with his friend's lack of boundaries, casual racism, or compulsive lying. The fact that he defends her makes me very suspicious of him. I would reconsider this relationship. He's been showing you who he is and what behavior he finds permissible for a very long time. You did to yourself if you stay with him. She's not going anywhere. And now for our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she must have had no self-respect to marry my dad? Posted by _sluttydad. Some context. My 16F high school has an annual fall dance. Not last year, for obvious reasons. But it's back on this year with the Rona restrictions, of course, and it's been unseasonably warm this season, thanks to global warming? So a lot of the dance will be taking place outside. Anyway, the boys are supposed to ask the girls, and yesterday at lunch, and a boy asked me, and I agreed to go with him. My dad has always been a traditional kind of guy when it comes to me and my younger sister, 14F. So last night at dinner, I mentioned that I had a date for the dance, and he made a crack about answering the door with his shotgun. The thing is, I'm pretty sure he would do it. I told him that if he was going to be like that, I'd just meet up with our friend group at school. He then got earnest and said to me in an angry tone that he didn't want me sneaking around with some guy without his knowledge. He asked me what I even knew about this guy. He then said he didn't want me to turn into one of those slutty girls who give it all away to the first guy they meet and who no self-respecting man would ever want to marry. That's when I flipped a switch. I like to think I'm a pretty good kid. I get good grades, and I play volleyball. I help my sister with her homework and help drive her to her soccer practice. I've never had a boyfriend. So being talked to like I was some love-struck idiot who was going to wind up pregnant because I'm choosing to go to a dance with a friend really annoyed me. Also, I know a bit about my dad's history. He was in a frat in college, and he's told stories to my cousin, 18M, who recently started college at a big state school where frat culture is a big thing. So I told him that A. This guy is my friend, and he seems nice, but if he turns out to be a dick, I'll figure it out. B. I only agreed to go to a dance. The last time I checked, going to a dance was not a binding sexual contract. And here's where I may have crossed the line. I told him that I knew he was in a frat in college, and I knew what goes on in those places. I also know the stories he's told, my cousin. So in the heat of the moment, I said something along the lines of, "By your own logic, the only slut in the family is you." Then I looked at my mom and said, "You must have had no self-respect to have married him." By the looks on their faces, I could tell what I said was hurtful. And then, of course, I got yelled at and probably won't be able to go to the dance at all. But I feel like it's unfair for him to give me a lecture about slutty behavior and self-worth when he's recently been bragging to my male cousin about doing much worse things when he was just a few years older than me. But maybe I crossed the line trying to prove my point. Am I the a-hole? Update, oh god, oh frack, oh god, oh frack. I did it. I came out, and I did it out of spite. I picked a whole goddamn bouquet of whoopsie daisies. To be clear, I know I said in the comments that I wasn't sure if I was into guys, but that's kind of because I figured I should experiment with men out of obligation before deciding about my sexuality. And I've had crushes on girls, although it's hard to admit to myself. But the more my dad talked about the whole pregnancy thing last night, and the more I thought about it, I realized that it's just so far out of the realm of interest. It's not super duper okay in my family. So I took the comment saying I need to apologize to my mom to heart, and I realized y'all were right, she didn't deserve that. I made her an omelet and a coffee and brought it to her in bed, and sat down with her on the bed so we could talk about what happened. My dad was out of the house. I just explained to her that I said what I did last night out of anger and that I was hurt that all these horrible accusations were being thrown at me when I felt like I've given them no reason to doubt my judgment. I apologized to her and told her how out of line it was for me to attack her when it wasn't her who I was angry at. And that I feel like my dad doesn't see me as a valuable person because he believes that I'm not smart enough to make my own decisions seriously and that if I did make a mistake, I wouldn't be worth anything to him or anyone. I cried because it was hurtful. She understood and was starting to talk, but then my dad walked in. Keep in mind, I was still angry at him. And he walked into the whole scene and said something nasty. He saw I was crying and said, "Oh, hormones, it looks like someone's pregnant already." The look on his face said it was a joke. But I hated it. My mind went into Mean Girl overdrive. Granted, what I did was not wise. But I was done. So I said, "Good news, I don't think me having sex with men and getting pregnant is something you'll ever have to worry about." He looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at me. I looked at him. It clicked. Now he's out for a drive, and the whole house has been quiet. I'm kind of hiding in my room. Oops. And now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Everything you said to your dad is 100% accurate, and frankly, I would high-five my daughter if she said that. I completely understand why you brought your mother into it. She was allowing your father to slut-shame you, and that is unacceptable. It sounds like your father is projecting from his past behaviors, and your mother is conditioned to think those things are acceptable. Good on you for standing up for yourself. Not the a-hole. Your father can kick rocks. What a nasty thing to say to someone. Good on you for standing up for yourself. Maybe apologize to your mom, however, she should have stood up for you, but your dad owes you an apology for being misogynistic as hat. Don't ever lose that fire within that made you stand up for yourself. You punched his misogyny right in the frackin' mouth, you lil champ. Sorry if you end up missing that dance. Don't stop standing up for yourself against those kinds of comments. I would encourage my little sister to do the same. But I'm a hothead, so your post gave me a justice boner. And now for our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I don't want to be neighbors? Posted by Tarsier_party. My mom, age 70, and I, 38F, have never really gotten along. She's hypercritical, and she's never respected my boundaries. There were roughly 18 years of her reading my diaries, going through my closets, searching my bags, listening in on my phone calls, and eventually snooping in my emails in the late 90s. I wasn't allowed to have a lock on my door, and my mother repeatedly reminded me that I wasn't entitled to privacy. One of her favorite, most used phrases was "I'm your parent, not your friend." I know some seriously abusive parents out there, and she wasn't the worst mom, but we were never close at any point. To establish independence, I married, and eventually divorced, a much older man at 21. Even with my more senior, 6 feet 6 inches husband/bodyguard in place, though, she would still find ways to violate my boundaries, like flying out of state to visit me after I explicitly told her that I was going through a rough patch in my marriage and didn't need any visitors at the time. Cut to 2021. I'm in yet another faraway state, living with my current boyfriend and our 4-year-old son. My boyfriend is very close with his mom and, after much discussion, she moved across the country and bought a house 2 miles up the road from us to help out with childcare. That's not the problem. The problem is, my mom heard this and decided to surprise me by buying a condo 3 blocks south of my house. Instead of being overjoyed as she expected, I have no idea why she would think I would be thrilled. I told her I would prefer to sell the condo and not move in. Reactions to my reaction have been mixed. My boyfriend thinks I reacted too harshly, but my brother's wife said she totally gets it and backs me up 100%. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that I don't want to live right next to her? And now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Tell her she's your parent, not your friend. Not the a-hole op. Your mom tried to outdo Mill but moving in even closer. She didn't tell you of her plans to be your neighbor, so now it's your turn to decide how cozy you'd be. You're not obligated to invite her all the time. Give her a key, etc. Be prepared because she won't refrain from asking. Not the a-hole. She sounds very toxic, ignoring basic requests and boundaries. Your BF is looking at this from his perspective of having a loving, functional, respectful relationship with his mom, I'm assuming, and not through the lens you wear from growing up in such an environment, which isn't really fair to you because your feelings are 100% valid here. She definitely should not move in, and I'm sorry if she does because it sounds like she won't listen, and you'll end up miserable. What's your say on this? Do you have a similar story? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.